Cuomo ordered New York health officials to prioritize COVID tests for his mom, sister, and CNN anchor Fredo in March 2020 when they were not widely available to the public, claims new report. When it rains, it pours. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo directed members of his family to be tested for the 19 at the height of the pandemic. March 2020, right? Keep that in mind. March 2020, I know it's a year ago. It's hard to think about how far we've come. 1 full year of the 14-day slow the spread lockdowns, right? At the time, ordinary New Yorkers struggled to get tested for the virus. Cuomo's office defended the move, saying it was done as part of extensive contact tracing. Maybe there is some legitimacy to this. You know, I'm the most ardent Cuomo supporter, right? Rick Cotton, executive director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and Patrick J. Foy, head of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, were both tested. Both of their wives were also given priority testing, along with members of the media, state legislators, and their staff. If it just stopped there, that would be problematic. If those were the individuals that were given priority above and beyond what everyone else was getting, then that could be a problem, right? That's clearly an inner circle kind of thing. The medical officials enlisted to do the testing, often done at private residences, included Dr. Eleanor Adams, a Harvard Medical School graduate, who has since become a special advisor to Health Commissioner Dr. Howard Zucker. The Albany Times-Union reported, testing on Cuomo's family members came at the height of the pandemic, when ordinary New Yorkers struggled to get access to screenings, which is what they mentioned above. The move comes on top of a myriad of scandals surrounding the governor. Governor Cuomo's brother Fredo announced that he tested positive for the 19 on March 31st. Health officials reportedly traveled to his Long Island home to carry out testing, although it is not clear exactly when. Fredo, the host of Fredo Primetime, already had access to testing through his work at CNN, along with the rest of the network's employees. So again, it is a situation of more privilege, right? They say that the network employees had access to testing, where again, what they cited a couple times was ordinary New Yorkers were struggling to get access to those tests. And that's what they talk about, right? The privilege of it all, being in that elite inner circle, having access to things that normal individuals don't. The report by Albany Times-Union also stated that Governor Cuomo's mother, Matilda, her name is really Matilda, huh? And one of his 3 sisters also received tests early in the pandemic. There you see Fredo there. Don't know who this is. Perhaps that's Matilda. Oh, they've got a video of the basement quarantine. I know a lot of you have probably already seen this. For those of you who haven't and aren't familiar with it, we'll give it a little bit of a watch. This was when he was emerging from his basement quarantine. And keep in mind, this was just a couple days after he was spotted out and confronted by a bicyclist. When he was spotted out, I think it was the Hamptons area where he was spotted out at, and the bicyclist was like, hey, aren't you supposed to be in quarantine? Because supposedly he had the 19, right? You got to stay inside.
All right, here it is. The official re-entry from the basement. Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out. It happens.
Just worked out.
This is what I've been dreaming of, literally, for weeks. My wife, she was cleared by the CDC. She doesn't have fever. She doesn't have the symptoms anymore. More than 7 days from her quarantine. I'm still a little scared.
All right, I'm done. I just can't deal with it. I just can't deal with Fredo. If their job was to go test an old lady down in New Rochelle, that's one thing. That's actually good, a source familiar with the matter said. This was not that. Rick Cotton, executive director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and Patrick Foy, head of the MTA, were both given priority testing, which they mentioned. An official in Cuomo's office said of the priority testing, it's been a little bit distorted with like a devious intent. We made sure to test people they believed were exposed. All of this was being done in good faith in an effort to trace the virus. Richard Azzopardi, a senior advisor to the governor, said to suggest that there was preferential treatment was an insincere effort to rewrite the past. It's interesting how these individuals are going down with the ship, so to speak. This won't be the thing that sinks him. He's got plenty of other problems, Fredo. In the early days of this pandemic, when there was a heavy emphasis on contact tracing, we were absolutely going above and beyond to get people tested, including in some instances going to people's homes and door to door in places like New Rochelle to take samples from those believed to have been exposed to COVID in order to identify cases and prevent additional ones, as a party said. Among those we assisted were members of the general public, including legislators, reporters, state workers, and their families, who feared they had contracted the virus and had the capability to further spread it. But sources familiar with the matter said that the sampling missions unsettled some of the high-level health department officials tasked with collecting samples, including Adams. To be doing sort of direct clinical work was a complete time suck away from their other duties, the source said. It was like wartime. Another source said that the critical samples, what Cuomo's family and close ties were referred as, had their samples moved to the top of the line at the Wadsworth Center Laboratory in Albany, New York. Now, as a party may be able to explain away some of the stuff, but if you have evidence that their samples were moved to the top of the list, that is a lot more difficult to explain away. Oh, don't get me wrong. They'll try, due to the position that these individuals are and their close contact with people in the public, it was of the utmost importance that we cleared them so they wouldn't spread the virus. It can be spread, and stupid people will believe it. But this one, right there, samples being moved to the top and given priority, that's one, in my eyes, it's a lot more difficult to explain away. The State Department of Health declined the Times Union's request to have Zucker and Adams available for interviews. You're asking professionals who took an oath to protect a patient's privacy to violate that oath and compromise their integrity. Gary Holmes, a health department spokesman, asked the publication in an email. We'll leave it there, though. Let's take a quick look at some comments, but the article further goes on to talk about the allegations for days and days and days. Watch, I'll show you something. This was simply an article about Cuomo and his family being prioritized. But look at this. All of this here, they talk about. All of this is about what happened before with the assault cases and the allegations and everything like that. So I don't know if they get paid by the word, but it looked like there were just as many words, if not more, written about the allegations than what was written about what the title of the article was. Now, don't get me wrong, that's of the utmost importance, and he definitely should be gone if that stuff is proven, but do they get paid by the word? Why would anyone expect any less from this predatory lying animal, a typical liberal, in other words? They pretend to be nice people and so altruistic, but in reality, they put themselves and their own families first, just like anyone else. Kind of contradictory, that verbiage there. He's saying, oh, they pretend to be this and that, but he's saying just like anyone else would, right? A little contradictory. And I wouldn't even call Cuomo a liberal. There are a lot of decent liberals. I've seen them give interviews on various channels. Now, these individuals are more of the classical liberal. I don't want to get too much into titles because I'm not totally clear on all the definitions. How do you define whether somebody's classical liberal, leftist, etc.? But I would say he's more of a leftist. I wouldn't call him a liberal. But perhaps I'm wrong on that. Folks, this is what socialism looks like. The elites will always get theirs first, while the little people stand in line like good plebes and wait and wait and wait, just like the government officials of Venezuela. They get the best while the people suffer. Laughing out loud, Fredo had COVID in April 2020, so he definitely did not receive the vaccine in March 2020. Just another lie. What a moron. Can you read? It says test, not vaccine. What an idiot. From Switzerland. Come on, Switzerland. It's a great place. Never been. Got to get out there. Expensive. Got to save up my money. But these are the kind of individuals. This person, if he was here, probably be a supporter of Cuomo. He didn't grab any woman by the trump. Sadly, he's my commander in heat. Nothing like his father. Commander in heat. So what? Athletes was given tests before others. A lot of people were. So are you trying to justify it? I don't understand. Mom seems nice, but she raised a couple of duds. There you have it, everybody. Priority given. Would want to wait and see more information to come out about this. What would be concerning, as I said, to me was not so much the testing, if it can be demonstrated that their claims were true, that a lot of other individuals were being tested as well. If it was legitimately for contact tracing purposes, I think we know, given Cuomo's history, how that's going to turn out, but being bumped to the front of the line in terms of priority, getting those test results read, that's problematic for me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and be well.